Storms had names in Westeros, but in Essos they were remembered as stories. The last storm that truly mattered to Viserys Targaryen had broken over Dragonstone the night his mother died. It howled against the stone like a living thing, tearing at banners embossed with the three-headed dragon, ripping them from their poles and sending them spinning out into merciless dark. He had been 6 then, small and sharp-faced and clinging to the memory of a father he barely knew. Rhaella Targaryen labored and screamed while the maester muttered prayers to 7 that no longer listened. The babe that should have been born did not cry. Rhaella did, until her voice vanished and her chest stilled. Viserys never saw the child. They told him later it had been a girl, small and blue as the sea that hammered the cliffs. A sister, stillborn and taken by the same storm that had ripped their dynasty apart. In that moment he became the last dragon. The words lodged in his mind like a shard of glass. The last, the last, the last. Years later, lying drunk on silken cushions in a Pentoshi merchant's pleasure garden, he would sometimes dream of that night. The roar of the wind became the roar of a crowd, the crack of thunder a sword on armor, his mother's gasping breaths the dying hisses of nobles pleading for mercy. In the dream, he always woke just before someone opened the door to the birthing chamber and handed him something. Some small, silent weight that smelled of blood and salt. He always woke with his hands empty. "Your Grace," Illyrio Mopatis said, folding enormous hands over the swell of his belly. "You are listening, I trust?" Viserys dragged himself back from memory. The feast hall of the Magister's manse glowed with yellow lamplight, each brazier a small sun casting shadows deeper than the wine. Silk-covered couches ringed the low tables, and the air smelled of cinnamon, roast boar, and sweet summer rot. "I hear you," Viserys said. His voice was dry. He had drunk too much, as he often did when he sat beneath Illyrio's painted beams. Wine gave him courage, and he had need of it. "You spoke of ships." Illyrio's lips curled, the grease from his dinner glistening there. "Indeed, ships and cities. Essos is a tapestry, my prince. Westeros was only one patch, and that patch has been torn away from you temporarily. A wise man mends the cloth from the edges. He begins where the thread is weakest." Viserys lifted his goblet. Dark red clung to the carved silver lips of the cup like dried blood. "The weakest thread is the usurper, drunken stag that he is. Robert sits on my throne. My coronation will begin with his head." Illyrio's laughter rolled out of him, deep and indulgent. "Oh, of that I have no doubt. But armies march on gold, not vows. On grain, not hunger. You need soldiers, my prince. Loyal men with spears and swords, and no reason to love Robert Baratheon more than they fear dragons. You think I don't know that?" The words snapped sharper than he intended. Illyrio only watched him, eyes like sleepy amber marbles, unbothered by the cutting tone. He had grown accustomed to Viserys' temper, the way one grows accustomed to heat in summer. "I think you do," the Magister said gently. "But I think you have been limited in your view of where such men might be found." Viserys pressed his tongue against his teeth. "Dothraki," the word tasted like dust. "You promised me a Khalasar, 100,000 screamers, and I could have bought you 1,000, 2,000, even 10, Illyrio murmured. "Enough to burn half of Westeros. But a Khalasar is not an army like those you remember. They ride for plunder, not banners. They do not besiege. They circle like wolves. They do not hold what they take. They do not kneel." "My bloodline is the dragons," Viserys said. "They will kneel. Oh, with the proper theater, yes. For a time." Illyrio dipped a crust of bread in fat and popped it into his mouth. "But times change. The plains are poorer than they were, and the Khalasars squabble like mongrels over bones. The Dothraki grow restless. They smell the rot in the free cities, the softening of the Giscari grip over their bay. Gold shifts, markets break. Slaves slip their collars in the night, and no one notices until whole streets stand empty at dawn. The world is ready for a change, Your Grace. What it lacks is a symbol. I am more than a symbol." "You are," Illyrio agreed quickly. You are the rightful king, but you are also what men wish to see when they look east. The last living ember of a dead empire. The dragons were not only beasts, my prince. They were an idea that fire could transform chains into dust. Whether that fire came from their mouths or from the will of kings mattered less than you may imagine. Viserys shifted on his cushions. Heat licked his skin despite the cool of the room, as if someone had uncovered a brazier just behind him. You did not summon me here to flatter me. Say what you mean. The fat man's eyes glittered. I mean that the thread which will unravel Essos's old order lies not upon the Dothraki Sea, but on the shores of Slaver's Bay, Meereen, Yunkai, Astapor. Cities fat on human misery, grown complacent behind their pyramids and harpy banners. The Giscari pride themselves on their lineage. Old blood, he said delicately, is very like old wine. It may grow rich with age or sour and explosive. Slavers, Viserys said. He thought of the slave markets of Pentos. Pale men from Lys, brown men from the Summer Islands, copper-skinned Dothraki boys, even a few yellow-haired Westerosi with sunburned cheeks and dead blue eyes, children with collars, men with brands on their wrists, women at whom he did not look long. They disgust me. They should, Illyrio said simply. Your family fought the Giscari Empire when it still remembered how to strap bronze chariots and scream its glory. Old Valyria devoured old guys and salted its fields with their own sign. The harp, why has not forgotten? Its heirs still hiss your house's name through filed teeth. A slow thrill went through him. So there is hatred. Good. There is fear, Illyrio corrected. And fear, my prince, can be turned. The great masters of Meereen look west and see Pentos and Volantis playing at power, turning their attention toward their bay. They look north and see lesser cities plotting to drive iron wedges into their slave trade. They are arrogant, but they are not blind. They remember fire. They know that if gold shifts, the chains around their wealth will snap. They seek reassurance. Viserys frowned. Reassurance. A prince. Illyrio smiled. A dragon prince. A living banner to drape over their walls. Proof that the old order holds. Imagine it. Viserys Targaryen installed in Meereen, honored guest of the great masters, his sigil flying beside their harpy. They will pour coin into your coffers to keep that image alive. Your claim will seem less fragile when backed by pyramids of brick and mountains of gold. And in those cities, my prince, men are bought and sold by the thousand. If you wish an army, there are worse places to look. Viserys' jaw tightened. I will not become a slaver. Of course not, Illyrio murmured. Perish the thought. You will only accept their hospitality. Perhaps you will advise like a prince should. Meet their generals. Tour their fighting pits. Watch how they command, reward, punish. Learn the arteries through which their lifeblood slaves flows. Viserys considered him. Beneath the honeyed words, beneath the easy mention of gold and banners, something else coiled. Illyrio Mopatis did nothing for one reason alone, and his reasons were never as simple as they seemed. What do you get from this? Viserys asked bluntly. Illyrio's smile widened. Influence, your grace. I am but a humble magister. I trade in silk and spice and secrets. A prince in Meereen is a fine investment. And perhaps one day, when your banners fly over King's Landing again, I might ask a small favor. Small, Viserys repeated. Smaller than a throne. Illyrio spread his hands. Rings winked on his fingers. There is another gift, of course, one I suspect you will find more intimate. He clapped his hands. A pair of servants glided in, each bearing a long lacquered chest capped with bronze. The metal was wrought into the shape of dragons. Open-mouthed, snarling, wings wrapping the curved lids like claws. Viserys stared. Something inside his chest went as still and sharp as a knife. What are those? His voice was hoarse. Once, Illyrio said softly, they belonged to a prince of Pentos who thought himself above death. He was wrong. Before that, they lay in a vault in Tyrosh, and before that in a temple on Valyria's smoking shore. Some say they never came from Valyria at all, but from further east, before the Freehold woke. I do not know. I know only that when I bought them, their seller warned me to keep them safe. Those are no mere stones, he said, but dragon's eggs, and in them sleep beasts who remember fire. The servants set the chests down and stepped back. Illyrio gestured. Viserys approached as if pulled on a chain. His fingers brushed the bronze dragon's snout. It was warm, not the warmth of metal touched by human hands, but a slow, steady thrum, like a heartbeat buried in stone. He lifted the lid. Inside, nestled in a bed of black velvet, lay an egg. It was larger than a man's head. Its shell a deep, shimmering green shot through with black, like emeralds frozen in obsidian. Irregular scales overlapped, catching the lamplight, drinking it. For a moment Viserys could not breathe. He reached out and touched it with the tips of his fingers. It was smooth, and beneath the smoothness lay a faint prickling heat. In the second chest lay a second egg, this one smoky gray veined with streaks of silver, like a thundercloud trapped in stone. The third chest, when he lifted it, revealed a deep crimson egg mottled with gold. 3, he whispered, for the 3 heads of the dragon. Illyrio bowed his head. It seemed fitting. Viserys' mind flooded with images. Aegon the Conqueror astride Balerion, wings black enough to blot the sun. Rhaenys and Visenya beside him, their sisters and queens, dragons screaming above their heads. Old guys burning, Storm's End bowed, Harrenhal melting into weeping stone. He saw himself in those visions, silver hair whipped by wind, the weight of a city's fear beneath him like a lover's hand. They are stone, he said, dead. Dragons are never truly dead, Illyrio murmured. Not while men remember them, not while their blood survives. He looked at Viserys, and for once there was no mockery at all in the folds of his face, only an avid, hungry hope. Some say dragonfire is like the fire the red priests praise, can destroy and it can transform. You are the last ember of your house, my prince. In Meereen, where men trade in flesh, perhaps that fire might find something to consume. Viserys lifted the green egg. It was heavier than he expected. The weight settled into his palms like a promise or a sentence. And if I fail, he asked quietly, then you will be no worse off than you are now, Illyrio said, and I will have lost 3 expensive ornaments. His smile flickered like a candle. But if you succeed, the world may remember your name as more than an afterthought in the margin of a usurper's chronicle. Viserys looked down at the egg. Shadows from the brazier wavered across the shell, merging black and green into shifting patterns that, for an instant, looked like wings. All my life, he said, men have laughed at me, behind their hands, in their councils, in their hearts. They saw a boy without a throne, a prince without a sword. His grip tightened. Let them laugh now, if they dare, when I come to them with fire. He raised his head. Send word to Meereen, Viserys Targaryen said. Tell their great masters that the dragon crosses the sea. Meereen rose from the earth like a broken tooth. From a distance, in the thin haze that hung over Slaver's Bay, the pyramids looked like mountains. Layer on layer of sun-bleached brick, their broad steps crawling with ants that were, upon closer inspection, men. Ships choked the river mouth, high-prowed galleys from Volantis, squat merchant cogs from Karth, black-sailed slavers from Tolos. On the river's far side, fields spread in precise squares, young crops shimmering green beneath the heat. Viserys stood at the prow of Illyrio's galley, the dragon eggs wrapped in cloth at his feet, and squinted against the glare. It stinks, he said. Beside him, Ser Jorah Mormont folded thick arms, his bear-like face impassive. All cities stink, the knight said. King's Landing was no perfumed garden, nor Pentos. This is different. Viserys wrinkled his nose. The tang of rotting fish warred with a sweeter, sickly smell beneath it, something like meat left out too long. It smells like boiled marrow, like old bones. Slaves, Jorah said. Too many bodies crammed into one place, too little water and air. I saw it in Tyrosh when the Triarchs raised their levies. Smelled it on ships carrying twice the men they were built to bear. Meereen traffics in flesh on a scale the free cities only dream of. Those pyramids, he nodded toward the looming shapes, are piled atop skulls. Viserys' hand twitched toward the parcel at his feet. He imagined he could feel the egg's warmth seeping through layers of cloth. "It will change," he said. Yora gave him a sidelong look. "Your Grace," he said cautiously. "You go there as a guest, as Illyrio's investment. A prince, aye, but one who comes with no army and no fleet save those the great masters permit. You swore, in Pentos, to take what they offer and do what must be done to raise the gold you need. Westeros lies west. Remember that." "I am not likely to forget," Viserys snapped. "Do you think I can stand on this deck and smell this filth without thinking of where I should be? King's Landing stench is at least my birthright. And yet you are here," Yora said quietly. Viserys glared at him, then turned away and watched the city draw nearer. The harbor swallowed them. Black stone quays, bronze harpies towering on plinths, their whips upraised. Chains as thick as a man's thigh hung from posts, ready to boom across the channel and seal it. Dockhands shouted in guttural Giscari, bare-chested in the heat, their wrists ringed with iron. Overseers strode among them with whips coiled at their belts, faces hidden behind lacquered masks shaped like snarling beasts. A gangplank slammed down. A herald in a feathered headdress waddled forward, flanked by spearmen in lacquered armor and skirts of scarlet fringe. "We are honored," the herald said through gold-plated teeth, his common lisping, "to welcome Prince Viserys of House Targaryen, last of his line, to the greatest city in the world. May the harpy smile upon you, and may you never lack for slaves to do your will." Viserys' lip curled. "I make my will my own," he replied. "I am no man's guest, but his equal." Yora winced almost imperceptibly. The herald's smile did not falter. "But of course," he said smoothly, "the great masters await you at the Great Pyramid. Your lodgings are prepared. All that we have is yours to enjoy, all that you desire." His gaze dipped briefly, hungrily, toward the parcel at Viserys' feet. "Can be discussed." Viserys heard the unspoken question and felt a flicker of savage pleasure. "They want the eggs. Good. Let them want. Let them bargain and fawn and slither. Let them believe they hold the leash." He stepped onto the dock with his head high, the eggs carried just behind him in a chest borne by 4 sweating slaves. The sun hammered down. The city rose up to swallow him. The Great Pyramid of Meereen was a mountain of brick, its summit crowned with a bronze harpy whose shadow fell across half the city at noon. Within its vast, cool belly, the great masters lounged on tiers of cushions while slaves fanned them with ostrich plumes. Viserys had seen wealth in Pentos, but this was something else. This was wealth so old it had forgotten that other ways of living existed. They received him in a hall whose ceiling was lost in shadow. The floor was a mosaic of a harpy with outstretched wings, each feather a tiny square of colored stone. Chains formed its claws. "Prince Viserys," said the man in the center. He was broad as a bull, his bare chest crusted with gold medallions, his beard oiled and scented. "I am Grasdan Mo Iraz, first among the great masters of Meereen. You are welcome here as a guest of the city, and as a son of the dragons who once broke the Harpies' tan brick armies between their teeth." Viserys stepped forward. His garments were Illyrio's gift: silk tunic of deep black, breeches of soft leather, boots polished to a shine. The 3-headed dragon blazed crimson on his chest, picked out in thread so fine it seemed to move as he breathed. "You know my house," he said. "Then you know why I have come." A murmur went up among the masters. Grasdan's smile was slow. "We know you seek to reclaim what was stolen. Word travels even across seas. The usurper's health is not what it was." His lips twitched. "Westeros shifts. Your timing is interesting." "My timing is mine," Viserys said. I will not sit in a foreign man's hall rotting among his pillows while my birthright fades. I have waited long enough, longer than any man has a right to ask a king to wait. Grasden spread his hands. Heavy rings flashed on his fingers. And yet you have come to us. Why? Because Illyrio Mopatis claimed you were men who understood power, Viserys said. Men who knew that chains are only useful so long as those who wear them do not realize they can break. Westeros is ripe for breaking. The usurper grows soft. His sons are squabbling pups. Lannisters GN. At his bones while Greyjoys gnaw at his shores. He has bled the realm for foreign wars and wine. When the dragon returns, they will kneel, if only out of exhaustion. I do not ask you to believe it. I tell you, it is the truth. More murmurs. A thin, pale man with a nose like a hooked beak leaned forward. Words are wind, Prince, he said. We in Meereen trade in more solid things. Flesh, iron, grain. You bring us no army, no fleet. Why should we care who sits a throne half a world away, when our slaves' sweat builds our own? Viserys smiled without showing his teeth. Because I bring you something your slaves cannot. Something older than harpies, older than pyramids. Something your forefathers once feared so much that they carved it onto every monument they built, so they might spit at its shadow even in victory. He gestured. At a signal, for slaves shuffled forward with the chest. Their shoulders bowed beneath the weight. Sweat gleamed on their backs. Grasden's eyes narrowed, greedy and wary at once. Open it, Viserys commanded. The lid lifted. Light from high windows fell upon scales of green and gold and dull stone, making them glimmer. For a moment, no one spoke. The hush in the hall was absolute. A toy, scoffed the hook-nosed man too loudly, but his voice had a hairline crack in it. A fossil. Eggs long gone to rock. We have seen such trinkets before. Men carve them in Qohor and sell them to fools. You have not seen these, Viserys said. He stepped closer to the chest, reached in, and lifted the crimson egg with both hands. Its weight steadied him. These belonged to my ancestors, to princes and kings who rode beasts so vast they cast shadows over cities. Do you know what harpies do when dragons fly? He turned the egg slowly, letting the light slide over it. They hide. Laughter rippled through the masters, but it was uneasy. Grasden's gaze lingered on the egg. Hungry. Fine words, he said. A fine show, but stone will not hatch, Prince. Dragonfire has not burned in this world for over a century. Why should we wager our gold on the ghost of a dead empire? Viserys' heart hammered against his ribs. He heard again Illyrio's voice. Some say dragonfire is like the Red Priest's fire, can destroy and it can transform. He set the egg gently back in its bed of velvet. Because I am not asking for your wager, he said. I offer you a bargain. Host me, feed me, let your scribes draw up papers that say, in all your fine Giscari curls, that you support my claim to Westeros. Let your merchants whisper it in Volantis and New Guise. See what gold it brings you, what contracts. I will pay you with my name, with my presence, with my promise that when I sit the Iron Throne, Meereen will be first among cities in my favor. He paused. And in return, you will give me what I need to make good on that promise. The slaves, Yora said softly in Valyrian behind him, a warning. The men, Viserys corrected, not turning. Not chattel, not beasts. Men who can be molded. Fighters, soldiers. You have more than you require. Those you do not sell to other cities you waste in pits for sport. Give them to me instead. I will pay you as Illyrio has arranged, in coin and future trade. You lose nothing. I gain an army. And what do the slaves gain? The words came from the back of the hall, high and clear, in careful common. Viserys' head snapped up. The questioner was a woman standing among the scribes and translators, her hair tightly bound, her brown hands ink-stained. A collar of beaten copper ringed her throat. His own sigil crudely etched into it as if some cruel joke had been made at his expense. Her eyes were dark, quick, and unafraid. Grasden half rose, furious. "Silence, girl." Viserys raised a hand. "No, let her speak." He looked at her. "What is your name?" "Nira," she said. Her accent wrapped his name in syllables that made it strange. "I translate contracts for the great masters. And speeches." She inclined her head toward Grasden, who glowered. "You ask what they will give you. I ask what you give in return. To the ones you would take." He almost said, "I will give them honor, glory, a chance to die beneath my banners instead of the whip." The words swelled in his throat, easy, familiar. They were what Viserys thought kings said in such moments. But something in Nira's gaze held him. Something he had seen once before, in a mirror in Pentos when he was too drunk and tired to look away. Bone-deep contempt wrapped in brittle hope. "I will give them purpose," he said slowly. "The chance to fight for a throne that is theirs as much as mine. When I rule, slavery will end. Not just in my kingdom, in the world. No more collars, no more chains. My house conquered Westeros with dragons. Perhaps it is time we conquer something else with men." He heard Yora suck in a sharp breath behind him. In the hall, silence deepened. Grasden stared as if he had slapped him. "You speak treason," the great master said at last softly. "In the heart of a city built on chains, before men who could flay you alive and hang what is left from the harpy's claws." Viserys smiled thinly. "Then you invited a dragon into your nest and are shocked to find your straw smoldering. Madness." The small, surviving voice of caution whispered in his ear. "This is madness. You have nothing to back these words. No army, no dragons, only 3 dead stones and your pride. You will die here and your bones will rot under their tiles." He ignored it. He had learned long ago that a Targaryen either embraced the edge of madness or fell screaming from it. There was no gentle path. "You cannot end slavery," Hooknose scoffed. "It is the breath of this city. It is its blood. Without it, there is nothing. Our pyramids would crumble, our fields lie fallow, our ships rot. You might as well command the sea to turn to wine." "Perhaps I will," Viserys said, "if I spill enough blood into it." Grasden's eyes narrow. Wet. He rose, his bulk all gilded menace. "You are bold, prince," he said. "Perhaps that is what the world needs. Or perhaps you will be its ruin. Either way, I confess a certain curiosity." He turned his head. "Nira, translate my words to our guest in his own tongue, so there can be no misunderstanding." Nira stepped down from her tier, hands folded. Her gaze flicked to Viserys, unreadable. "You will be our guest," Grasden said in fluid Valyrian now, each word a hiss. "You will eat our food, drink our wine, walk beneath our harpy's wings. You will be shown the pits and the markets. You will see with your own eyes what it is you threaten. And then, perhaps, we will talk again of bargains, when your fire has cooled and you understand the true cost of the promise you make." Nira rendered the words into common for the benefit of Yora and others, but her eyes stayed on Viserys. He held her gaze. "I do not make promises lightly," he said. "Nor do I abandon them." "Good," Grasden said. "We would not wish our dragon to be a craven lizard in a prince's skin." Laughter swelled, ragged and sharp-edged. Viserys let it roll over him, let it scrape his pride raw. He placed his hand lightly on the crimson egg in the chest and felt the faint, impossible warmth there like a coal hidden in ash. "Laugh," he thought. "Laugh while you can. One day, I will feed your laughter to the fire." Meereen bled its truth slowly. At first, it was all spectacle. They lodged him in a lesser pyramid, lesser in Meereen, meaning only 15 stories of brick instead of 30, with a courtyard garden full of perfumed trees and a private bath whose tiles depicted naked couples doing things Viserys had only half understood as a boy spying on the servants of Dragonstone. There were slaves to bathe him, slaves to dress him, slaves to carry his food and empty his chamber pot, slaves to fan him, slaves to play music while he ate. "The girl with the ink," he said on his second day, watching a line of them file in with fruit and meat and wine. "Nira, is she among you?" The slaves glanced at one another, nervous. A tall man with a scar over his left. I stepped forward and bowed. No, my lord. Nira belongs to the great masters. A scribe slave. We are house slaves. And you belong to me? Viserys said, more sharply than he intended. The man flinched. We belong to the great masters, he said, the words falling with practiced precision. But we are honored to serve you as long as they command. Anger pricked the back of Viserys' eyes. What is your name? Reznak, the man said. If it pleases my. It does not please me that you do not know you are a man before you are anything else. The words came out harsh. Reznak's mouth fell open. Behind him, another slave went pale. Yora shifted where he leaned against a pillar. Your Grace, he cautioned in low Valyrian. Viserys ignored him. He stood, the silk of his tunic whispering. You were not born with a collar, Reznak. No man is. Someone clasped it around your throat. Someone decided your life could be measured in grain and counted in coin. I ask you, are they gods? Are they dragons? Do they shit gold? He was aware of his voice rising, ricocheting off the carved stone. Aware, too, of Yora's exasperation and the slave's fear. He could not seem to stop. Tell me, he said softer now, were you freer before the collar? Or now? Reznak stared at the floor. Before, he whispered. Remember that. Viserys sat again abruptly, as if the strength had drained from his legs. You answer to me now while you are in my hall. Not because I own you. He nearly choked on the word. Because you choose to. Do you understand? Reznak blinked. It was obvious he did not. How could he? A lifetime of training could not be undone by a few angry sentences from a foreign prince. But a crack had been made. Viserys saw it in the way the slaves left that day, glancing over their shoulders. In the way a young girl with a twisted foot lingered a heartbeat too long, as if trying to memorize his face. They will talk, Yora said later, when they ate alone in the shade. Slaves talk more than any other, and there are always ears listening. Let them hear, Viserys muttered. Let them wonder. Westeros is far, Yora said. If you intend to leave the city alive, you would do well not to kick every anthill you see. The harpy has claws. And what would you have me do? Viserys asked. Smile at men who use children as coin? Take their gold, raise my army, sail away, and leave them to it? Yes, Yora said bluntly. You cannot fight every war. Viserys looked down at his hands. Where his fingers had brushed the crimson egg that morning, he thought he could still feel heat. Perhaps not, he said, but there are some I cannot refuse if I mean to be more than a beggar king. They showed him the fighting pits 10 days later. The heat was a living wall as they stepped through the striped awnings into the stands. The arena was a great oval of sand ringed by tiers of stone benches, packed with Meereenese of every tier. Great masters in their gold, lesser families in smaller finery, merchants, tradesmen, and here and there the collar of a favored slave. The air boiled with noise. Cheers, jeers, the bark of vendors selling beer and skewered meat, the muffled weeping of someone who had wagered and lost. Grasden sat in a shaded box at the center, flanked by fellow masters. Viserys took the seat of honor beside him. Nira stood behind, stylus in hand, eyes lowered. Today, Grasden said, we honor our guest with a spectacle. He gestured. A slave rang a bell. The crowd roared. 2 gates creaked open below. From one shuffled a line of men in chains, their bodies hard with muscle, their eyes distant. From the other emerged a hulking shape on 4 legs, its skin armored in overlapping plates, its horned snout dripping foam. Bull, Yora said quietly, from the Dothraki plains, are to see one so far south. We are generous, Grasden said. The slaves will attempt to bring it down with only the weapons we give them. He snapped his fingers. Overseers tossed spears onto the sand. See how they scramble. Even beasts must be taught to fight for their lives. A boy hesitated to pick up a spear. The overseer lashed him. The crowd cheered. Viserys' jaw clenched. He watched as the bull charged, horn catching one man in the belly and lifting him. His scream cut off as he crashed back to the sand. Blood sprayed, bright as spilled wine. The others darted around the beast's flanks, jabbing, slipping, one falling beneath its hooves with a crunch that turned Viserys' stomach. "Does it displease you?" Grazdin asked, amused. "In Westeros, I hear, they kill one another in lists for the amusement of lords. How is this different?" "They are your slaves," Viserys said tightly. "They have no choice. Choice is an illusion." Grazdin waved a hand. A smallman pressed to fight for his lord's honor may refuse in theory. In practice, where will he go? Who will keep him from starving? "We are simply honest about the terms of our bargains." Viserys looked at Nyra. Her face was a mask, but her hand tightened on her stylus so hard her knuckles whitened. "Tell me something," he said abruptly. "When they lose, do you feel a smaller man for owning them? Or a greater one?" Grazdin chuckled. "Always the sharp tongue. Careful, dragon. It might get you cut." He turned his attention back to the pit. Viserys forced himself to watch too. If he could not bear the sight, he told himself, how would he bear what must be done to end such sights? The bull took 3 more men before they finally brought it down. One slave leapt onto its back, driving his spear toward the eye. The beast bucked, tossing him aside, but not before the point pierced deep. Staggered, bellowing, blood pouring over its face. Another man seized his chance, plunging his spear into the neck. The bull went to its knees. The crowd screamed its approval. "See," Grazdin said, "they fight harder when the reward is life. Chains can motivate as much as crowns." The victor stood swaying over the carcass, chest heaving. He was short and wiry, his skin the deep gold brown of the summer islands, his hair braided tight against his skull. Scars crisscrossed his back. An overseer approached, whip coiled. "What becomes of him?" Viserys asked. "If he survives 3 more matches, he may be given to a fighting school, trained as a pit champion," Grazdin said. "They live better than most slaves. Wine, women, gold of their own. They may even, if they are pleasing, be granted freedom when they grow too old to stand." "Is that not mercy?" "No," Viserys said. "It is a longer chain." The great master shrugged. "Chains are chains, whether they reach to the wrist or to the horizon." He smiled. "Come. There is another match I think you will find instructive." The next fighters were not slaves but sellswords, a company from Qohor that had come south to taste Meereen's coin. Viserys watched them move, noting the discipline in their stances, the way they covered one another's backs even in the chaos. They fought a pack of sand wolves, lean beasts with pink tongues lolling. One man lost most of his face when a wolf's jaws closed around it. Another, laughing, shoved him away and stepped into his place, sword flashing. "These are men you might hire," Grazdin remarked, "but they are costly, dragon eggs." His gaze flickered to the chest by Viserys' feet. They were never far from him now, hold their own kind of price. "You must learn which beasts are worth their keep, and which are better bled for sport." "I learn quickly," Viserys said, "and forget slowly, I hope." Grazdin leaned back. "There is a thing I wish to show you after the matches. Something older than our games. Piece of your own past preserved. Perhaps you will find it moving." Viserys bit back a retort. The man dangled knowledge like a carrot before a mule. Refusing would only satisfy his sense of power. "As you wish," he said. The last match was men against men. 8 slaves in helmets and crude armor against 4 pit champions in steel. It was a massacre. Viserys watched one slave, a boy no older than 15, hesitate in the sand, sword trembling. A champion's blade took his hand off at the wrist. Blood sprayed in an arc. The crowd roared laughter at the boy's shriek. Viserys tasted bile. For an instant, the boy's pale, contorted face blurred with another. A girl's, blood on her thighs, fear in her eyes as soldiers shouted outside the door and his mother screamed. He blinked and the vision vanished. He did not look at Neera, though he felt her gaze burning between his shoulder blades. The chamber Grasden led him to afterwards lay deep beneath the pyramid. The air grew cooler as they descended, the sounds of the crowd fading to a dull echo. Torches burned in niches along the walls, their light slicking over carved bricks whose reliefs had been worn soft by centuries. At the height of the Giscari Empire, Grasden said, his voice reverberating, our kings fought Valyria tooth and claw. We fielded brick and bronze legions that matched their own. Our chariots rolled from the Skahazaden to the summer sea. We built pyramids that touched the sky. He stopped before a pair of heavy bronze doors. Harpies were embossed upon them, their wings wrapping the edges, their faces strangely bird-like. Chains snaked between their talons and the wrists of tiny, struggling human figures. And then, Grasden said softly, the dragons came. He pushed the doors open. The chamber beyond was long and low, its ceiling supported by squat brick pillars. In niches along the walls squatted statues, harpies with dragon skulls at their feet, harpies standing triumphant over piles of charred bones. Their stone eyes watched as Viserys entered, as if judging his worth. At the far end of the hall, on a raised dais, stood something that stole his breath. It was a dragon skull, larger than any he had ever seen in the Red Keep cellars as a child. Longer than a horse, with slender jawbones and eye sockets big enough for a man to curl inside. Its teeth were black and sharp, its horns swept back like curving knives. Bronze chains crisscrossed its snout, as if even in death Meereen sought to bind it. Valyrian, he whispered. Grasden chuckled. No, this one never bore a king. It was killed in the Third Giscari War, when our great ancestors still imagined themselves unbreakable. The Harpy kings had it dragged back in triumph, a trophy. The Valyrians killed them all in turn. That is power, Prince. Not this old bone. The men who left it here, the will to destroy an empire. Viserys stepped forward. The skull loomed above him, ancient and implacable. He reached out. His fingers brushed one horn. It was smooth, cool, dead. Nothing stirred within. As a boy, he said, I used to walk the cellars under the throne room. My father kept the skulls there. He said it reminded the court what waited when they disobeyed. I would stand in the dark and imagine them whispering. I thought if I listened hard enough, I would hear them tell me how to wake them again. He swallowed. I heard nothing, only rats. And what do you hear now? Grasden asked. Viserys looked up at the chained skull. For an instant, only an instant, he imagined he heard a faint, dry chuckle, as if the dead thing found all of this amusing. Silence, he said. Good. Grasden's hand fell heavy on his shoulder. Remember it. Bones are bones. Skulls do not save empires. Men do. Men who understand chains and how to use them. Viserys' gaze did not leave the skull. Or how to break them, he murmured. Grasden did not answer. He did not have to. It happened 3 weeks later, almost by accident. Viserys sat in his courtyard, the 3 dragon eggs arranged before him on a low table. Sunlight lay hot on the stone, but the shadows between the eggs were cool. He ran his fingers over the green shell, tracing the overlapping scales, the fissures where light seemed to linger. They are beautiful, Neera said softly. He had not heard her approach. She stood at the threshold, a parchment roll in hand, ink smudged on her wrist. Her collar glinted dull copper. You were not invited, Yora said from the corner, one hand on his sword hilt. Viserys waved him off. Let her speak. She has eyes. She may as well use them. Neera hesitated, then stepped forward, gaze drawn helplessly to the eggs. I have copied many contracts involving such things, she said. Men trading rock for gold. Once, a Valyrian wine merchant came through Meereen with a thing like these. Smaller, duller. He claimed it was a dragon's egg. The masters laughed and bought it to use as a paperweight. She glanced at him. These are not like that. They are not for sale, Viserys said. I did not ask to buy them. Her mouth twitched. I have nothing to buy them with but ink and words. Words can be powerful, he said. Men have bled more for promises than for coins. And yet courts are full of empty ones, she replied. You spoke one yourself, in the hall. Do you remember? He looked up at her sharply. I remember every word I say. You said you would end slavery. She said it as if quoting a line from a play she had learned by rote. Curiosity wrapped around the syllables. I will, he said. How? She asked. He opened his mouth, ready with some fierce declaration. I will raise armies. I will burn their ships. I will tear down their pyramids stone by stone until the harpy is a memory men spit upon. Instead, he found himself saying, I do not yet know, but I will. The city is a knot of chains. Every time I push, I find a new link. It will not come undone with one tug. That does not mean it will never come undone at all. Neera was silent. After a moment, she set the parchment on the table and reached toward the gray egg, stopping just short of touching it. May I? Viserys hesitated, then nodded. Her fingertips brushed the shell. She sucked in a breath. It is warm, she murmured. Yes. How? She looked at him. Stone should be cold. Perhaps they remember what they were, he said lightly. She smiled, a brief, fierce thing. Do you? He stiffened. I remember a throne that is mine, he said. I remember a crown that was stolen. I remember my father's blood on the steps and my mother's body on a bed soaked with hers. I remember being chased from inn to inn, from manse to manse, like a beggar, while men who had pledged their lives to my house turned their cloaks and called me mad. I remember being laughed at in tongues I understood too well, by men who would have licked my boots if my father had lived. I remember hunger. I remember fear. And now, here, I remember rage. He broke off, breath coming hard. Neera watched him, expression unreadable. Rage is fire, she said. Fire can melt chains. It can also melt the hands that hold it. He almost told her to leave then, stung. Instead, he found himself asking, What do you remember? She glanced down at her collar. I remember my mother screaming as they put this on me, she said. I remember my father selling his own shackles to buy her body back from the pit when she died. I remember Grasden's steward teaching me letters when he discovered I had taught myself enough to correct his sums. I remember the first contract I wrote that cheated a man out of his property because he could not read the smallest line. I remember the look on his face when he realized. It was satisfying. Her fingers tightened on the egg. I remember every name I have ever written beside a brand, every price, every flesh weighed. She looked up and met his gaze squarely. Do not speak to me of ending slavery unless you know what it is you are ending, she said. Silence stretched between them, hot and taut. I will, he said at last. Know it, and end it. Her shoulders dropped fractionally, as if some invisible weight had shifted. Then perhaps the eggs will wake for you, she said. If they remember anything at all, it will be chains and fire. She turned to go. Neera, he said. She paused. If I asked you to write a contract, he said slowly, that would free the men who sign it instead of bind them, could you? Her lips curved, not quite a smile. I can write anything, she said. The question is who will sign. He noticed the first spark that night. He could not sleep. The city sweated around him, a living beast breathing in the dark. He rose, padded barefoot to the table where the eggs lay, and stood staring down at them by torchlight. You are all I have, he told them in Valyrian. 3 stones and a name. The crimson egg seemed to drink the light. For an instant, he thought he saw something move beneath the shell, a flicker like a shadow behind parchment. He leaned closer, heart pounding. Nothing, only his own reflection, ghostly in the polished curve. He snorted at himself. Mad, he murmured. They would call me mad if they could see me talking to rocks. They already do. Still, he could not quite bring himself to turn away. He picked up the egg. It was heavier at night, or perhaps that was only the weight of his need. He held it against his chest. The warmth seeped into his skin. I am no sorcerer, he said. No magi, no priest. I have no spells, no words of power. All I have is blood. My father's, my mother's, mine." He laughed once, harshly. "Perhaps that is enough. Dragons are not made by prayers. They are born in pain. That is what the Red Priests say of their god, is it not? That the Lord of Light loves sacrifice." He thought of Grasden showing him the skull, the chains, of the boy in the pit clutching his stump, of Reznak and his careful answers, and Nira's collar, and the smell of old bones in the harbor. "You want blood?" Viserys whispered. "You can have it." He drew a knife. It was a slender thing of Cahoric steel, a gift from Illyrio. Its edge drank what little light the torch gave. He pressed the point to his palm and pushed. Pain lanced up his arm. Blood welled, hot and slick, running over his fingers. He let it drip onto the eggshell. Dark drops splashed against red, soaking into the grooves between scales. For a heartbeat, only a heartbeat, he felt something. Not heat, not exactly. Presence. As if something inside the stone had stirred. Too slow and too vast to fully wake, but aware. Felt him. It tasted salted iron and fury, and it knew. Then it was gone. The egg lay heavy and silent in his hands, sticky with his blood. He let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. "Very well," he said into the quiet. "Eat. Remember the taste. There will be more." A week later, the first slaves slipped their chains. It began with whispers in the barracks by the river. Reznak brought him news, his scarred face slicked with sweat. Your grace," he stammered. In the night, 3 field slaves did not answer roll. "They ran," Yora said. "Men will always run when they see a chance." "Their collars were found," Reznak said. "In the dirt. Smashed." "How?" Viserys asked sharply. "Where did they get tools? Who dared?" "One of the overseer's suspects, the dock workers," Reznak said. "They are always near ships. They see sailors, hear stories. There is talk of a ship that sailed last week with more men aboard than the manifests recorded." "Talk?" Yora said, but his forehead creased. "Escaped slaves are like sparks in dry grass. If you do not stamp them out, they will spread." Viserys thought of sparks, eggs, blood. "And what do you suggest?" he asked. "That I help the masters hunt them down?" "I suggest you do nothing," Yora said. "At least not yet. Let the masters learn they cannot rely on you for every lash. The more they see you as soft, the less they will show you. But you cannot appear their enemy either. Not until you have something to fight with besides words." "Words and these," Viserys said, glancing at the chest. Yora's mouth tightened. "Stone eggs will not save you from crucifixion." "No," Viserys said softly. "Men will." He sent for Nira. "Right," he told her. She sat at the low table, reed pen in hand. "What words?" she asked. His palm throbbed under its bandage. He placed his blood-stained hand flat beside the parchment. "An offer," he said, "from Viserys of House Targaryen to any man who hears his name. Freedom in the name of the dragon to any slave who reaches the walls of his pyramid. Food, shelter, and a place in my army to any who swear fealty. For as long as they serve, they will be paid in coin, not lashes. Their children will be born free. Their wives and husbands will not be bought. Their bodies will not be sold. Write that." She stared at him. "Do you know what you are doing?" she whispered. "Yes," he said. "Inviting fire." She lowered her eyes and began to write. The first came 3 nights later. Viserys woke to shouting in the courtyard. He rolled from his bed, shoving his feet into sandals, Yora already at the door with sword half drawn. Reznak met them at the top of the stairs, breathless. "Your Grace, what is it?" Viserys demanded. "Slaves," Reznak panted. "At the gate. They say they come to join you." Viserys' heart thudded. "How many?" 10, Reznak said. "No, 12 more gathered as they came. The guards would have driven them away, but they begged." "Let them in," Viserys said. He descended to the courtyard. The dawn light was gray and heavy. the sky a low ceiling of cloud. At the gate, under the watchful eyes of Meereen's guards, huddled a cluster of men and women. Their clothes were rags. Their collars were gone. Around some necks, raw skin showed where metal had chafed. Around others, copper still glinted, bent and cracked where someone had hammered it open. They knelt as he approached. "Get up," Viserys snapped. "I am not the Harpy." They rose, fearful, incredulous. A woman with cropped hair and arms roped with muscle stepped forward. "We heard your words," she said in rough Valyrian. "They came to us in the night. We were told if we reached this place, we would be free." Viserys shot Nyra a look. She stood in the shadows behind a pillar, silent as a carved idol. Her face gave nothing away. "My words were not for the night," he said. "They were for men and women who would dare daylight." The woman bowed her head. "We dare," she said. Viserys looked at them. Not an army, not yet. A threadbare handful of field hands and dockworkers, faces gaunt with hunger, eyes flinty with something like hope. He thought of Grasden and his lectures on chains, of the dragon's skull, of the eggs warm beneath his hands. "Your names," he said. One by one they spoke. He did not remember them all. He did not need to. It was enough that they existed. "You are free," he said when they had finished. The words felt heavy and absurd in his mouth, like trying to feed a starving man on promises. "No man may claim you now. Not great masters, not slavers, not even me. You may walk out that gate and never return, and no one here will drag you back. Or you may stay." "And if we stay?" the cropped-haired woman asked. "Then you will eat," he said. "You will sleep under my roof. And when you are ready, you will put a sword in your hand and stand beside me when the time comes to break this city's chains." A murmur went through them like wind through dry grass. "What if you fail?" asked a man with a missing ear. Viserys met his gaze. "Then you will die free," he said. "And I will die with you." It was, he knew, a mad thing to promise. He could almost hear Yora grinding his teeth behind him. But something in the slaves' faces changed at the words. The thin, tight fear loosened, just a little. The woman with cropped hair straightened. "Better that than the pits," she said. "Better that than the fields," another muttered. "Better that than this life," Nyra whispered, almost too softly to hear. Viserys nodded. "Reznak," he said. "Find them food, clean clothes, place to sleep, and someone to teach them how to hold a spear." Reznak swallowed. "Teach, your grace? Who?" "Ser Yora will show you. Between the two of you, you will improvise. We have little to lose and much to gain." "Your grace," Yora said carefully when they were alone again. "This will not go unnoticed. The masters will hear. They will not like it." "Good," Viserys said. He could feel the blood pounding in his bandaged hand, the echo of that strange awareness in the egg. "Let them hear. Let them come. They will come with whips and chains and 100 men for each one standing in your courtyard. Then we will need more men," Viserys said. He did not say more blood. He did not need to. The first lash fell a week later. They dragged the slave up the steps of his pyramid at noon, when the sun was hottest. His back was already a ruin of bruises and blood. 2 overseers held him upright while a third raised the whip. "This one," the overseer shouted, "stole from his master." He took words from the air and passed them from ear to ear, words not meant for him. He told others they could run to the foreign prince and be free. He thought he could break his chains. Today we show him, and the prince, what happens to such men. Viserys stood at the top of the stairs, Yora at his shoulder. Nyra hovered in the shade, parchment clutched to her chest. "Do you know him?" Viserys asked quietly. She swallowed. "His name is Allo. He loads ships with grain. He has a wife in the weaving barracks." Her voice shook. "Had." The overseer cracked the whip. It bit into Allo's back with a wet sound. The man did not cry out. Blood trickled down his legs. Viserys' nails dug into his palms. "Enough," he said. The overseers ignored him. The whip fell again. A cheer went up from a small knot of Meereenese watching from the street below. "Teach him," someone shouted. "Teach the fool what chains mean." "Enough," Viserys repeated louder. The overseer laughed and drew back for a third strike. Viserys took the stairs in 3 strides. Jorah swore behind him. He seized the whip midair. The leather burned his hand. The overseer stared at him. "Prince," he said in clumsy Valyrian, "this man is owned by—" "He belongs to no one," Viserys snarled. "Not anymore. That is not for you to decide." The overseer tugged at the whip. "Grazdin ordered this punishment. The man stole. Viserys stabbed him in the throat. The world went very quiet. The overseer gurgled, eyes bulging, hands scrabbling at the knife buried under his jaw. Blood spurted over Viserys' hand, hot and shocking. The man dropped to his knees and toppled, the whip falling from his fingers. For a heartbeat, no one moved. The slaves on the stairs stared. The other overseer's mouth hung open. Viserys yanked his knife free and turned it toward the second overseer. "This man," he said, pointing at Allo, "is under my protection. Any hand that rises against him rises against me. Tell that to Grazdin." The second overseer swallowed. Sweat poured down his face. "You killed a servant of the great masters," he croaked. They will what?" Viserys demanded. "Beat me? Hang me? Sell me? I am not their slave. I am a prince of House Targaryen. I am your guest, and they have forgotten what that means." Jorah stepped in, eyes sweeping the street. Already, messengers were running toward the Great Pyramid. Faces peered from windows. The city's pulse quickened. "Your Grace," he said in a low voice, "we need to get inside, now, before someone decides to test how far the Master's patience stretches." Viserys looked at Allo. The man swayed, blood streaming down his back, ribs visible beneath torn skin. His eyes met Viserys. There was no gratitude there, only hawk and a bleak, awful hope, as if he did not quite believe in the ground under his feet. "Reznak," Viserys called. "Get him inside. Bind his back. Feed him. He is free." Reznak stared. "Your Grace, the Masters, will have to kill me to get him back," Viserys said. "Move." He ascended the stairs, knife still bloody in his hand. The city seemed to lean closer, listening. Behind him, the dead overseer's blood ran down the steps, bright as spilled wine on pale stone. They came that night. Viserys had expected a show. Grazdin with an escort, perhaps, words of warning, threats veiled in courtesy. Instead, the attack came like a thief. He was half asleep when Jorah burst into his chamber. "Arm!" the knight snapped. "Now!" Viserys rolled from his bed, reaching for the dagger under his pillow. "What? Guards?" Jorah said. "Meereenese. They're in the lower hall. Reznak says they came with a writ from the Great Masters to retrieve property. They started with Allo. When he argued, they killed him. He died on your floor, with your name in his mouth." Viserys' blood went cold. "How many?" 30 at least. More outside, by the sound. He tossed Viserys a sword, its balance unfamiliar. "We can hold the stairs for a time, but not forever." "Slaves?" Viserys asked. "Where are the ones who came to us?" "Arming themselves," Jorah said grimly. "Some with kitchen knives, some with their bare hands. They're frightened, but they're ready to fight, at least." Nyra appeared in the doorway, hair loose, collar gleaming. Ink streaked her cheek. "Grazdin sent word," she panted. "He says you have violated guest right, that you have killed his man. He demands you present yourself at once to answer for your crime." Viserys laughed, a hard, wild sound. "Guest right," he said. "He sends slavers into my home at night and speaks to me of guest right? He says this house and all in it belong to the Harpy," Nyra said. "That anything within its walls is subject to Meereen's law." "Then Meereen's law is about to change," Viserys said. He buckled on a belt, slipped the knife into it, grabbed his cloak, then stopped. In the corner, the chest gleamed dully. "Help me," he told Neera. Together, grunting, they heaved the chest onto a simpler wooden cart used for hauling wine. Viserys threw back the lid, seized the crimson egg, and held it for a moment. He thought of Dragonstone's cold halls, of Pentos, of laughter and scorn, of the slave's blood on his steps, and aloes on his floor. "You are stone," he said under his breath. "So am I. Let us see which of us cracks first." He set the egg gently back between its siblings. Yora raised an eyebrow. "Taking them into battle?" he asked. "Bold. If I die, they die with me," Viserys said. "Better that than letting these carrion pick their bones. And if they wake, well, I would not have them miss the show." He seized the cart's handles. "Reznak," he bellowed. "Neera, any of you who would live free, come." The lower hall teemed with chaos. Slaves and house guards milled, armed with whatever they could find. Kitchen knives, broom handles, a huntsman's bow. At the far end, the main doors shuddered under the impact of rams. Splinters flew. "Back!" Yora roared, shoving men into position. "Form ranks, 2 deep along the stairs, shields in front." "We have no shields," someone panted. "Then use tables," Viserys snapped. "Benches. Your own cursed backs. Anything, but you will not break." He shoved the cart into position at the top of the short flight of steps leading down into the hall. The eggs gleamed in torchlight like monstrous jewels. "Listen to me," he said. His voice bounced off stone, high and fierce. "They come to drag you back in chains, to make an example of me. If they succeed, you will die. Slowly, on spikes, in pits, in fields. Your children will wear collars until their necks are nothing but scar. If we stand, we may die quicker, but we will die as men and women, not animals. And if we live," he looked at the eggs, "if we live, we begin something the Harpy will never forget." The pounding on the doors ceased. There was a heartbeat of silence. Then the wood burst inward in a spray of splinters and iron. Guards poured through, masked, armored, swords flashing. Behind their visors, eyes gleamed. "For the Harpy!" someone shouted. "For yourselves," Viserys shouted back. "For your freedom. For fire." The clash was immediate and brutal. The first wave of guards hit the makeshift line like a storm. Slaves died quickly and messily. A boy with a butcher's knife took a spear in the gut. A woman with a broom handle had her skull split. Blood spattered stone. Viserys found himself at the front, Yora to his right. A guard lunged at him. He parried clumsily, steel ringing on steel. The jolt up his arm was shocking. He had trained in Pentos, but sparring was nothing like this. The man drove forward, shield slamming into Viserys' chest. He staggered. Hands shoved him upright from behind. Reznak, face pale and set. "Up, your grace," he grunted. "They aim for you." The guard raised his sword for a killing stroke. Viserys stepped inside the arc, just as Yora had drilled into him 1,000 times, and drove his dagger into the man's armpit. The guard screamed. Hot blood washed Viserys' hand. He wrenched the blade free and shoved the man backward into his fellows. The hall narrowed, working in their favor. The guards could only advance 4 abreast up the stairs. Their numbers pressed against them. The slaves above, desperate, fought like men who believed death was behind them, not ahead. They tore helmets off, gouged eyes, bit throats. A man with both arms broken still managed to trip a guard and drag him down. Viserys lost track of time. The world shrank to the ring of steel, the grunt of effort, the taste of blood and sweat. Somewhere to his left, someone screamed in Valyrian. To his right, Yora cursed in the old tongue as a blade glanced ff his mail. Then suddenly the guards fell back. A figure stepped through the shattered doorway. He wore no mask. Gold medallions covered his chest. A bronze harpy crown encircled his oiled hair. "Enough," Grazdanemo Ires said. The guards parted around him like water. Viserys stood at the top of the stairs, chest heaving, sword dripping. His nightshirt was torn, his hair matted to his face. Blood, his and others, spattered his bare feet. "Is this how you treat guests in Meereen?" he spat. "With midnight knives and writs that smell of shit?" Grasden's gaze slid past him to the cart. The eggs glowed dimly. "You have turned my city into a nest of vipers," the great master said calmly. "You have stolen my property, killed my men, and proclaimed yourself above my law. I would be within my rights to flay you alive and hang your skin from the harpy's claws." "Try," Viserys said. Grasden's lips curved. "You think I need to," he said softly. "Look around you, dragon. Half your followers are dead. The rest bleed. You have no army, no dragons, no allies beyond a handful of frightened slaves and a disgraced knight. You are a child playing at war with toys he barely understands." Viserys' fingers tightened on his hilt. The bandage had long since soaked through. Blood dripped from his palm. "I am Viserys of House Targaryen," he said. "The blood of the dragon." "Blood is blood," Grasden said. "It spills like any man's. Come down now on your knees and beg. Return what you have stolen. Swear to submit to Meereen's law. Perhaps I will let you live. I could use a pretty pet prince in my hall." Laughter rippled among the guards. Viserys felt something break. He was so tired. Tired of laughter, of scorn, of men like Grasden looking at him and seeing only a thin, unarmed boy clinging to a dead name. Tired of dreams that smelled of smoke and ended in empty hands. Tired of chains he had not forged but wore all the same. His gaze fell on the eggs. Red, green, gray. "Nyra," he said hoarsely. "Bring me oil." She stared. "Oil and fire," he said. "If I am to be a sacrifice, let it be to something worthier than a harpy." Yora caught his arm. "Your Grace," he hissed. "What are you doing?" "What I should have done the day I set foot in this cursed city," Viserys said. "Let go Ser Yora, or stand aside." The knight's grip tightened, then slowly loosened. His eyes searched Viserys' face for a moment. Then he nodded once, sharply. "Very well," he said. "If we burn together." Nyra moved as if in a dream, fetching amphorae of oil from the kitchen. Viserys smashed them around the cart, dousing the eggs and the wooden frame. The smell was sharp and bitter. "What is this?" Grasden demanded, his composure slipping. "What are you doing?" "Making a choice," Viserys said. He climbed onto the cart, boots slick with oil. The eggs pressed against his calves, heavy and unyielding. He could feel their warmth even through his stained trousers. "You told me bones do not save empires, that men do. Today we will see what is true." He took the torch from Resnak's shaking hand. The flame guttered. "Fire can destroy," Nyra whispered, voice shaking, "and transform." He met her eyes. "Pray it chooses the latter," he said. Then he dropped the torch. Oil caught with a roar. Flame leapt up the sides of the cart, hungrily seeking wood, cloth, flesh. Heat slammed into Viserys' face. The hair on his arms singed. The air seared his lungs. Pain. He had thought he knew pain. He had burned his hand on braziers as a child, cut his knees open on Dragonstone stone, felt belt and fist and hunger. He had not known this. This was a white-hot spear driven into every nerve, a flaying from the inside. He screamed. Somewhere, someone echoed him. Maybe Yora, maybe Nyra, maybe the slaves. The world narrowed to flame. He felt his skin blister and crack, felt hair curl and vanish, felt smoke claw down his throat. He smelled himself burning, a sick, sweet stench that turned his stomach even as it rose from his own body. He fell to his knees among the eggs, hands clutching them, nails breaking. And beneath it all, faint and terrible, he felt something else. The eggs were no longer merely warm. They were hot, too hot to hold. Heat pulsed from them in waves, beating against his palms like heartbeats. 1, 2, 3. Fire poured over him, through him, around him. He could not tell where his body ended and the flame began. For an instant, just on the edge of madness, he thought he saw shapes in the inferno. Vast, sinuous, impossible. Wings unfurling, eyes opening, slit-pupilled and bright as molten gold. Jaws yawning wide. He smelled ash. He tasted blood and smoke and something older. The tang of stone heated beyond endurance, the iron of forged swords, the copper of old bronze. He thought, this is what it is to die. He thought, this is what it is to be born. The world shattered. He came back to himself on cold stone. The first thing he felt was air on his skin, cool and sharp. The second was heat, concentrated in 3 points along his ribs. The third was pain. Not the all-consuming agony of the fire, but a deep, bruised ache that made every breath an effort. He coughed. Smoke scraped his throat. When he opened his eyes, the ceiling of the hall swam above him. The faces of slaves and soldiers ringed him, pale ovals in a haze. "Your Grace," Yora's voice said, thick with something like awe. Viserys turned his head. Yora knelt beside him, eyes wide. His beard was singed, the hair at his temples crisped. There were burns on his arms. He looked like a man who had stood too close to a smith's forge and survived only by miracle. Behind him, the cart was gone. In its place, a scorched circle marred the stone. Black ash lay in drifts. The air still shimmered with heat, and in that drift, moving, were 3 tiny shapes. Viserys pushed himself up on one elbow. Pain lanced through him. He gritted his teeth and looked. They were scarcely larger than cats, spindly and awkward, wings too big for their narrow bodies. One, its scales a deep, glistening red, clambered up his chest and dug its needle claws into his skin. Another, green as forest shadow, wrapped its tail around his arm. The third, smoky gray, hovered uncertainly at his side, its translucent wings beating the air. Dragons, real, alive. Their bellies rose and fell. Their eyes gleamed like polished amber. The red one opened its mouth and hissed. Smoke curled from its nostrils. Viserys felt heat against his nose and did not flinch. "Dragonlord," someone whispered. He looked up. The hall had fallen silent. Dead guards lay where they had fallen, some half-charred. The surviving Meereenese had backed away, pressing against the walls, faces stark with terror. Even Grasden Mo Iraz, his gold medallions blackened with soot, stared as if seeing a ghost. Viserys reached up with shaking fingers and stroked the red dragon's head. The scales were smooth and hot. It leaned into his touch with a soft, rasping sound. "I am Viserys of House Targaryen," he said. His voice was raw, but it carried the blood of the dragon. He struggled to his feet. His skin was raw and blistered in places, but he was not burned the way he should have been. Patches of soot clung to him where flesh remained whole. The pain was there, but distant, as if he and it were no longer entirely the same thing. The dragons clung to him as he rose. One on his shoulder, one wrapped around his wrist, one perched on his head like a grotesque crown. "I am no one's pet," he told Grasden. "I am no one's guest. I am the Dragonlord of Meereen." He pointed at the dead overseer, at the scorched stone, at the broken door. "You came into my house with chains," he said. "You tried to drag free men back into collars. You broke guest right. You spilled blood unprovoked. In Westeros, such crimes are answered with death. Tell me, Grasden Mo Iraz, what does Meereen demand?" No one spoke. The only sound was the soft rasp of dragon breath and the crackle of cooling embers. Then Nyra stepped forward. Her collar glinted in the light. Her hair was singed at the tips. In one hand she held a parchment, edges blackened. Her eyes burned. "Justice," she said. Viserys looked at her, then at the assembled slaves, the handful of house guards, the trembling Meereenese. "Then we will give it justice," he said. "From this day forth, every man and woman who sets foot in this house does so free. No slave enters here. No master gives orders. If you disagree," he added, gaze locking on Grasden, "you may try to stop me. Bring your guards, your beasts, your gold. Bring your pits. Bring your city. I have something older." The red dragon on his shoulder hissed, a thin, terrible sound like steam escaping a fissure in the earth. "I have fire," Viserys said. Grasden swallowed. For the first time, Viserys saw fear in the man's eyes. Not the petty fear of losing face, but something deeper. The fear of a man who has built his life atop a buried fault line and just felt it shift. "This is madness," Grasden whispered. "Perhaps," Viserys said, "but it is my madness, and the world will feel it." He drew Yora's sword, its edge dark with battle. He raised it high. "Any slave who reaches these walls is free," he shouted, voice cracking. "Any man who joins me will eat, train, fight, and live as my soldier. Any master who raises whip or chain against them will face dragonfire. This is not a bargain. This is a decree." His words flew out into the city, carried by terrified guards and exultant slaves, by merchants' whispers and whores' songs. Within a day, they reached the barracks by the river. Within 2, the fields. Within a week, they crossed the bay in the mouths of sailors. Within a month, they would be spoken in Yunkai, in Astapor, in Volantis. Dragons, men murmured. Real dragons, hatched in Meereen. A prince made of scars and smoke, with fire in his eyes, calling himself Dragonlord and Slavebreaker. Viserys could feel the tremor of it as he stood in his ruined hall, dragons clinging to him, blood drying on his skin. The world had shifted, and nothing would ever be quite the same again. He smiled, sharp and joyless. "Let Robert keep my throne for now," he murmured, more to himself than anyone. "The game has moved east." Nyra heard him. "What game?" she asked. Viserys looked at her, at the dragons, at the city beyond the broken doors, its pyramids etched against the smoky dawn. "The oldest one," he said. "Chains and fire, men and gods, empires and ash." He stepped toward the light, dragons hissing softly, slaves parting before him like water. "Come," he told them. "We have a city to break." And somewhere beneath the stone of Meereen, where the old Harpy kings had once chained a dragon's skull in triumph, something cracked. A fissure spidered through ancient brick, dust falling in a soft, slow sigh. Above, the Harpy's bronze claws clenched empty air. For the first time in centuries, Meereen dreamed of fear.